Hi guys, and welcome to this pick a card tarot reading where we're going to be looking at what surprises are in store for you. I am genuinely so excited for this video because there's nothing that I love on this planet more than surprises, even surprises for someone else, so I cannot wait to see what is coming for all of you guys. This video is kind of a surprise because, as you may or may not have noticed, I've not been posting on my YouTube channel or on any of my social media for the past few weeks. A lot of you have sent me really kind messages, so thank you. Or even if you just like sent like a kind thought or positive vibration my way, thank you, that means a lot. I'm fine. I just like I've had a lot going on in my personal life, like I think most people have with Corona, and I just needed some time to kind of like decompress and process and not be quote unquote stressed by work. Not that I really consider YouTube work because it's so fun to me, but I just needed some time to like chill out. But I've missed you guys so much while I've been doing my break, so I'm so excited to be back and posting regularly again. Keeping with the theme of surprises, I am unexpectedly in California right now. I had to come here for visa purposes, and I am kind of stuck here because there's an issue with my visa. The point in me telling you that is that I don't have all of my tarot decks or my oracle decks with me. I only brought 2 tarot decks with me. I also don't have my like professional microphone. I've been planning on making like an incredible video with like amazing production quality, whatever, for my first video back after not posting for a few weeks. But the universe had other plans, and here I am filming with very minimal equipment, but hopefully it won't bother you too much, and I will hopefully also be back home with like all of my equipment soon. If you'd like to, please send a positive thought my way that the French government figures out my visa so that I can go home soon and I can start making like quote unquote normal videos on my channel again soon. Just a few quick announcements that I want to say. The first is that a lot of you have been messaging me about private readings. I am doing quote unquote mini readings while I'm in California. And they're mini in the sense that I only have tarot decks. If you've seen my normal videos, you know that I like to use oracle and tarot decks together. I also don't have a microphone. So they're quote unquote mini readings because I don't have as much equipment as I normally do, but I'm putting as much time and effort and knowledge into them that I normally do, if that makes sense. I'm also going to be testing out a few different changes to my private reading process that will hopefully make the readings more accurate for you and also make your experience better. If you're interested in learning more about like what changes I'm making or just like checking that out, I have a link in the description box. I made a video talking about like the changes that I wanted to make specifically, and also just like answering some questions that I get a lot about private readings. And if you want to see that, you can click on the link. The video is like part of that link. The other announcement, quote unquote, I guess, is that my social media links are in the description box as well. I know that I have not been posting that much on like any of my social media, but I recruited my super cool and talented friend Jacqueline to help me with my Instagram, so she is going to help me post more frequently. So if you're interested in checking that out, you can look at the links in the description box. Yeah, okay, I think that's everything. The other thing is that I will be doing like I like to do private reading giveaways per video, but I've had some problems with like people emailing me and then me not getting the emails, or just like them getting kind of lost. So I'm gonna be like figuring out a new system for that and doing that when I'm back home, when I'm not here. But there are a few people that I know that I need to like check because I've seen emails from them that I need to like go back and do their reading. So if I have told you that I'm gonna give you a reading, I will do that in the next few days. And yeah, hopefully when I'm back home, I'll be able to start doing reading giveaways again. Anyway, that was like kind of a long intro. I know people don't like long intros, so I apologize. But let's get into the pile selection now. So we have 4 piles to choose from. Pile number 1 is on the left over here. That is a piece of peach moonstone. Pile number 2, right there, that is a piece of red coral. Pile number 3, I feel like my hand is so creepy just like coming in like that. Pile number 3 is a piece of amazonite, and then pile number 4 on the left all the way here is a piece of pyrite. If you need more time, feel free to pause the video and meditate. Again, the question is, what surprises are coming your way? If you are drawn to multiple piles, feel free to watch multiple piles because there may be messages there for you. One thing to keep in mind is that this is a general reading, so there's going to be multiple people watching each pile. I would be honestly amazed if every single thing that I said resonated with you. So please, if something that I said doesn't feel right to you or doesn't quite like stick with you, it was probably a message meant for someone else, so just kind of let it go. So once you feel ready and drawn to a pile, I will leave all the timestamps in the description box so you can go ahead and jump to the pile that's calling to you, and I will see you at the timestamp. Hi guys, if you chose pile number 1 or the peach moonstone worry stone, then welcome. This reading is for you. Let's take a look and see what surprises are coming for you guys. So you guys had the death card clarified by the death card in reverse. Then you had the 6 of wands in reverse clarified by the star in reverse. The 6 of cups in reverse clarified by the temperance card. And then the 2 of cups in reverse clarified by the 9 of pentacles in reverse. And the bottom of the deck for this top row, the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, was the 10 of cups. And the bottom of the deck for the second row, the small spells deck, was the Knight of Cups in reverse. Okay, so for you guys, pile number 1, in terms of what surprises are coming to you, there's like some good news and also some kind of bittersweet news in this message. So to give you the good news first, with the 10 of Cups being at the bottom of this first row of cards, that's an incredibly positive omen. The 10 of Cups is a card that to me represents like complete emotional satisfaction with your life, and to me, like with the 10 of Cups, emotional satisfaction also implies having enough money, you know, being able to afford all that you need, really, because if you couldn't afford that, then you wouldn't be happy, you know what I mean? So the good news for you guys, like the really positive surprise, is that everything that you want, like everything that you're dreaming about, having love, having someone genuinely love and care for you, you know, having enough to take care of your needs and take care of those that you love, all of that kind of stuff, you're going to have all of that. Your life is going to be happy. You're going to end up in a place that makes you really happy. You're going to end up in a place that you're really comfortable with. The kind of bittersweet news, though, with this death card and the death card in reverse, is that I think that 10 of Cups, like that happiness, is going to come from a different place than what you are picturing it right now. So what I'm seeing from these cards is it feels like you have a pretty narrow focus, or kind of like a very like you're hyper focused on one specific outcome at this point in time. So for example, this energy feels like, for example, someone like you being convinced that you are meant to marry like Jeremy, or you're convinced that like you need to have this certain job to be happy, or like you need Jeremy to love you to be happy. And what I'm seeing from those cards is it's like that's not necessarily your path. So for example, if you're convinced that you need to be with Jeremy, I don't necessarily see you being with Jeremy in your future. Does that mean that you're not going to find love? No, absolutely not. All it means is that Jeremy is not your person. You know, if you're thinking about a job, does it mean if you're not going to have this specific job, does that mean that you're never going to have a job that makes you happy and also makes you a lot of money? No, it doesn't mean that. It just means, from what I'm getting from these cards, is it's like you are really narrowly focused on this one specific outcome, and it's like you're convinced that you're only going to be happy from, again, being with this one specific person, or being at this one specific job, or like you have to do this one specific thing to be happy. And what I'm seeing from all of these cards here is that that is not the case. That thing that you're so focused on, that you think that you need to be happy, I don't see that from these cards being in your path. And again, that doesn't mean that just because you're not meant to be with Jeremy, it doesn't mean that you're not going to find love. It literally, all that it means is that Jeremy is not the person that you're meant to find love with. All it means is that this company is not the one that you're meant to find success in. You know what I mean? It's not like a punishment. It doesn't mean that you don't deserve this thing. It literally just means that you're on a different path. And what I'm seeing from these cards is that you might be a little bit stubborn with this 6 of Cups in reverse. What I'm seeing that as here is kind of like holding on too much to the past, like this like nostalgia that's not helping you. You know what I mean? With like the Star in reverse, the 6 of Wands in reverse, it's like, I don't know, it just feels like this path that you're on, it literally feels like you're like beating your head against the wall at every single step. It's like you're making it so hard for yourself to keep focusing on this thing, keep focusing on this outcome, and it's just not meant for you. And that's not a bad thing, you know? It doesn't mean that you're a bad person. It doesn't mean that you don't deserve the thing that you want. It literally just means that you're on a different path. And it's like the universe is trying to steer you on the other path, Because the thing is, with this Death card and the Death in reverse, again, the biggest like surprise coming through for you is that you are meant to have a very happy life, but your life is going to take a significantly different path than what you expect. So with this Death card here, this represents change. So again, in order to bring in this Ten of Cups, this happiness, there needs to be some kind of change in your life. With this Death card in reverse right underneath it, you're really resisting that change right now. I don't really know why, but there's a lot of fear here around letting this situation go, letting this person go. And it's like, what you're not seeing is that as soon as you let that situation go, as soon as you let that person go, things are going to just click into place. Like, do you see all of these reverse cards that you have? Reverse cards represent, to me, kind of like blocked energy, or just energy that's like kind of stuck. And it's like, it feels like you're so afraid to let go of this person, the situation, because you feel stuck. It's like you think it's the only thing that you have, but you're not realizing that that is what's keeping you stuck. And as soon as you let go of that attachment to that really specific outcome, things are just really gonna like line up for you. It's like you're just, as soon as you let go of this thing that's just not meant for you, you're going to align with the path that is meant for you, and things are just gonna work out so much easier. It's like, literally as soon as you let go of this and being like, okay, actually maybe Jeremy isn't for me, maybe, you know, I'm gonna download Tinder and just see who else is on there. Like, as soon as you, like, maybe not like as, okay, it's not gonna be as soon as you download it, but it's not gonna take you that long to find someone else. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm trying to say. It's like, it feels like you're holding on to this really like narrow viewpoint because you're afraid of having nothing else, but you're not realizing that holding on to that really narrow viewpoint is what's keeping you from having what it is that you want. So as soon as you let go of like this image of yourself as only being happy within this really specific parameter, you're going to find that you're going to be a lot happier, which is really ironic. The other thing here with the Two of Cups in reverse and the Nine of Pentacles in reverse is that there is a need here to figure out how to both be independent while also being able to be vulnerable and connect with other people. So this message is going to be different for different people, but with this Two of Cups in reverse, with the Nine of Pentacles in reverse, some of you have too many walls up right now. It's like you're keeping people out, and others of you are a little bit codependent at this point in time. So hopefully you will know which one you kind of resonate with, but there is a need here with this Temperance card as well to kind of come back into balance. What I'm really seeing from these cards is it feels like you're really focused on the past. You're really like holding on to, again, just like all of this baggage that's not helping you, it's not serving you, it's not, you know, helping you move forward. And there's a siren out there, which is to me reinforcing that it's like, okay, you need to kind of move out of this energy because it's stagnant, it's keeping you back. So really the thing that I'm seeing that's surprising is it's like as soon as you let go of this situation, you're going to see your life start to move forward in a much easier way. Things are just going to feel a lot better. It's going to feel like you have like a weight lifted off your shoulders. So the biggest surprise I think is that it feels like you're not super happy right now. So the biggest surprise I think is that you are going to be happy in your life, but it's going to come from a very different place than what you've originally expected. So for, again, like I keep saying this, but I just feel like someone needs to hear it. It's like if you're thinking of a specific person right now, a specific situation, I don't see that specific situation working out, but that does not mean that you're not going to have like the big picture thing. You know what I mean? Just because you're not going to be with Jeremy doesn't mean that you're not going to have love. Just because you're not going to work for Tesla doesn't mean that you're not going to have money and be successful and be happy with your career. You know what I mean? And that's like the biggest thing that's coming through for you is that there's a lot of blessings and miracles and love and joy, luck and abundance that's going to be waiting for you, like a little bit off of the path that you're on right now. As soon as you step off of like this path, I can't even tell you, it's going to feel so much better and you're going to see significant changes in your life. So that's kind of the biggest surprise that I'm seeing for you guys. Basically is that your life is going to take a kind of a different direction than what you've anticipated, but that's for the best. So any change that comes through the next few days, next few weeks, it's positive change. There's no need to be afraid of it. Even if it seems quote unquote negative on the outside, it's actually bringing a blessing in disguise into your life. So that's what I'm seeing for those of you that chose pile number 1. I hope that was helpful or provided clarity or insight. If it did resonate, please feel free to like, comment, or subscribe. If you're interested in a private reading, that information is in the description box below. Once again, thank you for watching and have a great day. Hi guys, if you chose pile number 2 or the red coral stone, then welcome, this reading is for you. Let's take a look and see what surprises are coming your way. So you guys have the Page of Pentacles clarified by the Six of Wands in reverse, and then you have the Page of Wands in reverse clarified by the Nine of Swords in reverse, you have the Emperor clarified by the High Priestess, and then you have the Knight of Pentacles in reverse clarified by the Sun in reverse. And the bottom of the deck for this top row was the Lovers. And the bottom of the deck for this second row, the Small Spells deck, was the Three of Wands. Okay, pile number 2. The biggest surprise that I'm seeing here for you is that you don't have to be perfect all the time. And that might seem like kind of a weird message in reaction to like this question, but what's really coming through is it's like you will make mistakes in your life and that's okay. You know, one mistake is not going to ruin you forever. Doing one thing incorrectly, having to do it again, that's fine. You know, just because you have to do something again doesn't mean that you're not a good person, doesn't mean that you're not smart, doesn't mean that you're not talented. It just means that you have to do it again. That's totally fine. The other thing that I'm seeing for you is that even if something doesn't fall super neatly into your lap, that doesn't mean that it's not meant for you. Sometimes I think we can get this mindset, or certain people can get this mindset, that if they don't get something right on the first try, or if they're not good at something right when they first start doing it, that means that they're just not meant to do it, it's not in their path, and they, you know, like they need to do something else. And what I'm seeing for you is it's like you guys will make some mistakes and that's okay. I'm getting a little bit of a perfectionist vibe from some of you, or kind of this like just this perfectionist energy where you feel like you have to do everything right all the time, and you might, if something doesn't go right or you don't do something right, you might take that really personally. And what I'm seeing here is that that's holding you back and that's not helping you. With the Lovers at the bottom of the the front row or the first row of cards, the Lovers is a card that can represent love and relationships, but to me it's also a card that represents drama. Like, for some reason I always see the Lovers in my mind as like a soap opera. You know, it's like a very passionate, very deep, very exciting love, but it's also super dramatic. And what I'm seeing from these cards is that you might have a little bit of like a control complex, or you just like to control your environment. And so the idea of having a lot of drama come in maybe is not the most exciting thought to you. But what I'm seeing for you guys is that you guys are meant in your path to make some mistakes, to not get things right in the first try, to go through those kind of dramatic periods. That's just part of your path. That's part of everybody's path, and that's okay. With this Page of Pentacles and the Six of Wands in reverse, the Six of Wands represents victory and success, and the Page of Pentacles represents a student. And to me, the Page of Pentacles is someone that, it's kind of like the model student, you know, the person that studies a lot and like does all their homework, is always on top of things. And so what I'm seeing from those two cards is that something that you are putting a lot of time and effort into, something that you know, by all means, you've done all that you can to make it go well, it still might not go well. And that doesn't reflect on you, you know? So what I'm seeing for you guys is that this is a time for you guys to learn things, not necessarily to master them. This is a period of your life where you're meant to more be learning about yourself, learning about what it is that you want to do, learning just different things in general, rather than mastering them. So it's okay right now if you don't have everything figured out. It's okay if you don't know, you don't have all the answers. That's fine. That's actually where you're meant to be. You're meant to, at this point in time, have questions. You're meant to, you know, go through these things where you put 100% of your time and effort into it and it still doesn't go the way that you want, because that's going to teach you something that you can then use to help other people. With the Knight of Pentacles and the Sun both in reverse, what I'm seeing there as well, it's like, it's not just like, don't just think that your only surprise is that you're going to be making some mistakes. There's also going to be some really unexpected blessings, but they're coming from places that you are kind of discrediting, or that you're not putting as much thought into at this point in time. So for example, something that I find all the time is I'll make a YouTube video that I'm super proud of. I'm really excited about it. I feel like I did a really great job with the readings. I feel like it's going to really resonate with people. and be really popular, get a lot of views, and then it gets literally no views whatsoever. Instead, a video that I filmed randomly just because I was bored, didn't put as much time and effort into it, just like did it kind of off the cuff, that gets a lot of views and that gets a lot of attention. And that's kind of the same energy that I'm seeing here for you. It's like there's a pattern here in this, like things that you're putting a lot of time and effort into not working out versus just like randomly getting a lot of success. There's some kind of pattern there, or some kind of like lesson there for you to learn. And that's kind of why you're going through that right now, is again to learn. The other thing that I'm seeing here in your cards, there's a lot of kind of like opposites or dualities. Like, for example, you have the page versus the emperor. The page is the student in the tarot versus the emperor. You know, he has the empire, like he's learned and now he's in that stage of mastery and completion. You have earth versus fire. So earth being stable, like reliable, fire being impulsive, exciting, like dramatic. You have the emperor versus the high priestess, the emperor representing control, rigidity, the high priestess representing movement, going with the flow, using nature versus controlling it. You just have like a lot of opposites here. And so what I'm seeing for you guys, it's like you guys are moving forward, but it's like you're almost going from like one extreme to the other, if that makes sense. So it's like you're still moving forward, but instead of like moving forward on a straight path, it's like you're going like all the way to the left and then realizing that didn't work, and then going all the way to the right and then that didn't work, and then okay, now you're kind of going in the middle, and now, you know what I mean? So it's like your path is like a little bit jagged, but it's meant to be that way. Don't think that just because, oh my gosh, that didn't work out, but now suddenly I didn't expect this other thing and now that's happening. Don't think that means that like you're not in the right place. For whatever reason, and the reason why isn't coming through, but for whatever reason, this period of your life is a little bit chaotic. That's not necessarily a bad thing. What I'm seeing from your cards is that you're someone that's a little bit, like you like to be a little bit more stable. Or for whatever reason in this, whatever area of your life this is talking about, it feels like you don't want that kind of like explosive, dramatic change. You want it to be stable and kind of like, static. But this, for whatever reason, is not a time period where you're going, like this is not a static time period for you. This is not your emperor stage. This is your like learning stage. This is you coming into your power almost with this high priestess. The high priestess represents knowledge, information, and again, like you're getting information during this time period that's going to help you reach this emperor stage. This is not the point in time where you have all the answers. This is not the point in time where you know 100% what you're meant to do. You know exactly how everything's going to go. You know exactly what's going to work for you and what doesn't. This is a time period for you to experiment, to figure out what works, what doesn't, just to try something, just to try it. Not because you know it's going to work, you know what I mean? Because what I'm seeing for you guys, a surprise, is that what you expect to work out is not going to work out. What you expect to just not work out is going to randomly be this huge blessing for you. So this is, like I said, a time for experimentation. It's kind of like, there's just a lot of like, to me, it's really exciting energy. I have a lot of fire in my chart. I love change and like, I love that kind of like inspirational energy. This is a time period where there's a lot of that kind of energy where you can really direct a lot of change in your life. But one thing that's coming through is to not hold yourself to this super high standard and think that you're never going to make a single mistake. Think that if you make a mistake, that means that path isn't for you, that just because you've made a mistake now you can't pursue that thing, or just because you didn't do it perfectly the first time you can't pursue it, or just because you weren't born with that innate gift that you can't pursue it. That's not the case. You're going to make mistakes just like everyone, and that's okay. Just because you make one mistake doesn't mean that you're condemned to a life of mistakes, Like, you can change. And this is really, like, there's just a lot of exciting change energy here, where it's like you can turn those mistakes and failures, quote-unquote failures, into successes. You know what I mean? It's like, the surprise for you is that you're going to be making some mistakes, some missteps the next few weeks, next few months, but those mistakes that you're making now, it's like the scale is so small and the lesson that you learn is so big that it lets you then bring in like this emperor energy. Does that make sense? It's like the stakes right now are pretty low, which is why it's a good time to make a mistake. So if you make a mistake right now, it's not going to hurt you that much overall in the long run, but the lesson that you learn from that mistake is going to serve you so well down the line. It's going to help you avoid like these really big mistakes that would have cost you a lot. Does that make sense? It's like making these small missteps is going to help you avoid those big missteps, and that's going to help bring you to this like place of power and contentment and happiness with where you're at. But it's going to require a little bit of like drama, a little bit of like pizzazz, some, you know, soap opera, random twists and turns here and there. And that's okay, you know? That's just where you're meant to be right now. So that's what I'm seeing for those of you that chose pile number 2. I hope that was helpful or provided clarity or insight. If it did resonate, please feel free to like, comment, or subscribe. If you're interested in a private reading, that information is in the description box below. Once again, thank you and have a great day. Hi guys, if you chose pile number 3, then welcome. This reading is for you. Let's take a look and see what surprises are coming your way. So the cards that came out for you guys, starting with the left over here, we have the Knight of Swords, clarified by the Two of Wands in reverse. We have the High Priestess in reverse, clarified by the Ace of Cups in reverse. The Queen of Pentacles, clarified by the Hermit. And then we also have the Six of Swords and the Four of Swords. On the bottom of the deck for this top row, the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, was the Ten of Wands, and the bottom of this deck, the bottom row of the Small Spells deck, was the Three of Wands. Okay, so this is not necessarily a surprise, but one thing that I am seeing for you guys with the Ten of Wands, this Knight of Swords, and the Two of Wands is that you guys might have, at this point in time, the tendency to like take on too many responsibilities or to take on like too much in general and just be kind of overburdened. And what I am seeing for you guys with this Nine of Swords and the Two of Wands in reverse is that this is not a great time to kind of like rush in and make changes. With the Queen of Pentacles, the Hermit, the Six of Swords, and the Four of Swords, you have a lot of cards here about kind of like waiting, being patient, going within rather than like reacting to situations. So kind of what I'm seeing for you with the High Priestess in reverse and the Ace of Cups in reverse is that this is a time period where your emotions are really high. And I think a lot of people, if you're watching this around the time that I upload it, a lot of people are going through that. So by no means are you the only one. But what this means for you, or what I'm interpreting this to mean, is it just feels like with this Nine of Swords, Two of Wands, it's like rushing into something right now. You're not fully connected with like your higher self with this High Priestess in reverse and the Ace of Cups in reverse. This card upright, the High Priestess, represents inner knowing, intuition, wisdom, knowledge, and the Ace of Cups, here I'm just seeing it as kind of like emotions in general. So what I'm seeing with the Ace of Cups in reverse, the High Priestess in reverse, is that you're not really in touch with your emotions. Either you're on one spectrum where you're too anxious, too sad, to whatever it might be, to your own detriment, or you're kind of cutting yourself off from your emotions at all because you're afraid of it getting to that point. You're afraid of, you know, getting too anxious or getting too sad or whatever, and so you're just kind of cutting your emotions off. And because of that, when you're reacting and kind of charging at things, you're not coming at it from a perspective that's grounded and realistic. So what I'm seeing for you in terms of surprises is that it might be a surprise to hear that it's a great time to kind of wait things out. With the Queen of Pentacles and the Hermit and the Four of Swords, the Four of Swords is like the warning card that comes out when you need to just slow down and take a break. The Hermit is someone that kind of like, you know, turns away from the outside world and goes within for a period of time to disconnect and reconnect with themselves. And that's kind of what I'm seeing is needed for you right now. With the Six of Swords, that's an excellent omen. The Six of Swords represents moving on from difficult situations, moving away from something that's been upsetting for you, moving into something that's more positive, more helpful, a more stable period. But what I'm seeing for you is it's like, do you see the difference? Sorry, my nail polish is really bad, but do you see the difference between like this card and this one? Like this one, they're calm, peaceful, you know, steady forward movement. This one, he's like freaking out, like, you know what I mean? So kind of what I'm seeing here for you is that the surprise is that everything's going to be fine. You don't need to be anxious. You're going to be exactly where you want to be. But this is not necessarily the time to take action because I'm seeing you reacting from this place of unhealthy emotion, either too much emotion or not enough emotion, and it's causing you to kind of be a little bit frantic or like just all over the place instead of like, you know, calm and moving forward in like a steady way. So the surprise for you guys, I guess, that I'm really seeing is that you're going to see way more forward movement. You're going to see a lot more like things are just going to feel a lot easier, feel a lot better. You're going to feel a lot less stressed if you take some time to kind of like plan out, take some time to chill, decompress, and like I said, really plan and think about, okay, instead of just like in this moment, what's stressing me out, what do I need to react to in this moment, but like where am I moving to? Like rather than just like, okay, what are the issues that I'm reacting to in the present moment that are causing me to feel stressed? What I'm seeing might be helpful for you guys is thinking about, okay, where do I want to be long term? Instead of just like, okay, I'm stressed right now and don't want to be, like, how do I remove those stresses? Like, think about, I guess, more of like the long term, okay, over, like, yeah, I'm stressed right now, but if I had my ideal life where there were no stresses, then I could have whatever I wanted, like, what would that look like? And how can I start moving myself towards that kind of life? When people say stuff like, you should be living a life that you don't need to take a vacation from, I feel like that's kind of overly simplified advice, but kind of what I'm seeing here is it's like, again, I just feel like you're really reactive right now, and these cards are really encouraging you instead of like reacting and coming from this place of like, oh my gosh, like I'm late, or oh my gosh, I'm stressed, or like coming from this frantic place of really trying to think, okay, where do I want to go and how can I get there? So being a lot more calm, again, just not like necessarily taking action when something happens or when you're stressed, resisting the urge to correct the problem immediately. And that, again, like it's not coming from a bad place by any means. Like, you're not a bad person, and I'm sure you know that, but like the reason why it's because it's like, by wanting to fix the problem immediately, you're not getting the full knowledge, you're not fully understanding every area of the situation. And so by trying to help yourself and other people, you're actually kind of hurting yourself with this Four of Swords. I like this Four of Swords card because it shows I don't know, just like the concept that sometimes, like, yes, it's good to take action, yes, it's good to fix our problems, but we also need to actually understand a problem before we can address it. So sometimes, like, just rushing in full energy without doing the proper preparation, it's just not the best situation. So really what I'm seeing for you guys is that the surprise is that you might think this is a time where you need to be doing a lot, you need to be taking action, you need to be protecting yourself or protecting other people, but I'm really seeing that for you guys, this is a great time to decompress, really take some time to plan instead of just reacting, and also get in touch with your emotions, get in touch with yourself, because what I'm seeing from these two cards here, the High Priestess in reverse and the Ace of Cups in reverse, is that there's a disconnect with emotions. Either you're letting your emotions rule you a little bit too much, or you're afraid of that happening, and so you're deconnecting from them altogether. And again, that's keeping you from moving forward, from moving into this place that you want to be. So the surprise overall is that, I mean, it's a positive surprise, like, you're going to get what you want. It's just not happening. It's like you're not in the mind space right now to make that happen. So these cards are encouraging you to just take a little break, take a breather, and then come back to your problems in the morning or a week from now. Like, even though you have a lot of cards here about slowing down and taking a break, don't think that just because you are taking a break, that means that it has to take like 3 months longer than what you wanted to take. You know what I mean? Like, breaks can even just be a cat nap. Like, even a 20-minute nap sometimes can make a big difference when you're in this kind of state. And that's what I'm seeing for you guys. So this break doesn't have to be like 5 years or even a month. Like, even just taking an afternoon from being in this energy of constantly being on the attack and going, just taking an afternoon to yourself and doing something that you enjoy, something that makes you happy, reading a book literally just for fun, not because there's a reason to it, with a cup of coffee or something, whatever is enjoyable for you. That's what I'm really seeing is gonna surprisingly be really helpful for you guys, and surprisingly be the thing that kind of pushes that forward momentum. It's like, the energy is not the problem for you guys. You guys already have that. It's figuring out how to like contain that and direct it in a helpful way rather than let it kind of rule you a little bit. So that's what I'm seeing for those of you that chose pile number 3. I hope that was helpful or provided clarity or insight. If it did resonate, please feel free to like, comment, or subscribe. If you're interested in trying out my like mini reading situation while I'm in California, then that information will be in the description box below. Once again, thank you for watching and have a great day. Hi guys, if you chose pile number 4, then welcome. This reading is for you. Let's take a look and see what surprises are coming for you guys. So the cards that came out for you, starting on the left over here, we have the Empress, clarified by the Lovers. and we have the World, clarified by the Six of Swords in reverse. We have the Four of Swords in reverse, clarified by the Fool. Let me just move it up a little bit. Clarified by the Fool. And then we have the Two of Wands, clarified by the Seven of Swords. And the bottom of the deck for this top row here, the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, was the Five of Pentacles. And the bottom of the deck for the second row here, the Small Spells deck, was the Two of Cups. Okay, pile number 4, as soon as I pulled these cards, I was so excited to be able to share this message with you. I hope this is going to be a really exciting, uplifting message, and I honestly just feel kind of honored that I get to share this with you. Sometimes I don't necessarily like having to say certain messages. I know that sounds dumb, but this one I'm genuinely really excited. So the biggest surprise that's coming through to me from this reading, I almost don't even know where to start because there's so many exciting messages here, but the number one thing that is kind of jumping out to me is the bottom of the decks. So you had the Five of Pentacles versus the Two of Cups. You also have the Two of Wands here and the Seven of Swords. And the Seven of Swords is a card that often represents deception, betrayal, someone cheating, or doing something against you in some way. And what I'm seeing here is that the Seven of Swords is representing kind of a self-deception. The Five of Pentacles, I wish that, hang on, maybe I do actually. I think I do, yeah, hang on. Let me show you the card. Yeah, here it is. So this is the Five of Pentacles. This card usually represents financial hardship or feeling left out in the cold by someone, basically feeling rejected or ignored. And then the Two of Cups. Let me show you that card. Let me just get it out. That's one of the cards of romantic union. Sorry, I just knocked this desk. It's one of the cards of romantic union, or even just union in general. Same with the Two of Wands. For me, that's a twin flame card. Not saying I really necessarily prescribe to the idea of twin flames, but both of twos in general represent duality. So what I'm really seeing from all of this stuff here is it's the message that's coming through is it feels like you've been deceiving yourself and thinking that you're unlovable, that you are not good enough, that people aren't going to like you. It's you almost, what it feels like is it's you're pre-assuming rejection. It's the energy of thinking, well, he would never be into me because he's too hot, or she makes too much money for me, or whatever it might be. It's you presuppose that people don't like you or don't want you. But what's coming through with this Empress energy is that is not true. You are the Empress in this reading. You are beautiful and funny and kind and worthy and capable and enough, and people genuinely love being in your presence. Your energy is coming through is very warm. It's a very lovely, nurturing energy. And then you have the Lovers, the Two of Wands, the Two of Cups, a lot of cards about union, about relationships. For some of you, I think that this is literal, so it means that if you are single right now, I see you entering into a relationship. And this is, I don't want to say it's just any kind of relationship, but with all of the cards that you have, the Fool, the Lovers, the Empress, the Two of Cups, the Two of Wands, it feels like the kind of relationship that makes you feel really seen and makes you feel really loved and understood by the other person. It's not someone taking advantage of you. It's not someone just being interested in your body. It's someone being genuinely interested and creating a partnership with you. So for some of you, it is a literal a literal relationship. For others of you, I see this as more of coming back in union with yourself almost, just realizing your own capability, realizing that you don't need to automatically assume people aren't going to like you because you are enough, just the way that you are. So that's the biggest thing that's coming through. The biggest surprise is that what you've been telling yourself about yourself is honestly not true, especially if it's more on the negative side. If you're someone that has quite a lot of negative self-talk, and a lot of us do, you've been lying to yourself or those negative self-talk situations have been lying to you, and you're about to enter a period where you're going to see all the ways that those negative representations of yourself are false. The other thing that I'm seeing for you, this is a little bit different than pile 3. So with pile 3, they were they need to just kind of slow down. What I'm seeing for you, it almost feels like you guys have been moving kind of slowly, and things are going to speed up a lot from this point. What it also kind of feels like to me is your energy feels a little bit almost perfectionist, or with this World and the Six of Swords in reverse, it's you have this idea of where you want to be and what you want to have, but it's almost like you have these prerequisites for that, if that makes sense. So the Six of Swords represents like moving on from stuff. And what I'm seeing from that, like with the World and the Fool, is it almost feels like you're like, yeah, like I want a new relationship, but I would need to like lose 20 pounds, or I would need to like wait a few months because right now it's just not the right time. Like kind of making an excuse, if that makes sense. And what I'm seeing is that like the time is now. Like what the ironic thing is, it's almost like you're waiting for perfection for this relationship to come in, or for, you know, this positive period to begin. And it's going to begin before that perfection actually happens. Like with the Six of Swords in reverse and the Four of Swords in reverse, it's like things aren't perfect, but that's why they're happening right now. Like real life is messy. Real life is very rarely ever perfect. And so what I'm seeing for you, honestly, is that you're about to start a period that's basically as positive as possible. Does that mean that there aren't going to be some difficulties or things that aren't figured out? No, but you're entering a really, really, really exciting period. So doubting yourself, doubting the positivity that's coming your way, doubting the gifts and abundances that are coming your way is just going to be holding you back, really. So kind of like another surprise is it feels like everything that you've been hoping for, everything that you've been wanting is coming to you, but it's coming to you way earlier than probably what you may have expected. And also, like, it's just not going to be what you expected, because it feels like you have almost like this ideal vision in your mind of like, okay, well, when I have my perfect relationship, that means that I also have my perfect job, and that means that I'm also living in like the perfect place for me, and that means that I also have a great relationship with my mom, and I also like have 2 dogs that I love. You know what I mean? It's like you're getting one aspect of that, but not the whole thing. Does that make sense? So it's like you can have a really great relationship that makes you happy, and then that person can cheer you on to help you find the job that goes with it. Does that make sense? Or whatever it might be. So it's like you're getting part of what you've always wanted, but that doesn't mean that you're getting everything all at once. And I hope that like makes sense in some way. The other thing that's coming through with the Fool and the Empress is that it's okay to make mistakes. One thing that's coming through is you guys do feel a little bit like perfectionists. And one message that's coming through is that like you are human, which is part of what makes you very attractive to other people. Like your faults are almost like what make you attractive. What's coming through for you guys, and I already feel like you guys are not going to believe me when I say this, just because of the way that your energy is, but people see you genuinely as very attractive, dignified, refined, intelligent people. Like, I feel like the way that you see yourself is so completely different than the way that other people see you, that it's almost funny, honestly. And I have a reading on my channel if you're interested in how like you see yourself versus how other people see you. But it just feels like the way that you see yourself is quite different than the way that other people perceive you. So one thing that's important to keep in mind, and one surprise could be for you, that like just because you see yourself a certain way does not mean that that's how other people see you. Just because you see, you know, you think something about yourself does not mean that that is fact. It just is like your opinion. But it's like you don't, like, it feels like you think that you have to be perfect to deserve love, and that's not true. Like, part of the thing that makes you lovable are the flaws, are the things that aren't perfect, are those little weird, like, you know, things that you would consider flaws, but things that anyone else would consider to be normal, because that's human, you know? So really the biggest thing that's coming through for me here is, I think you're about to be very pleasantly surprised, both by like the effect that you have on people. And like I said, for a lot of you, if you're single, I do see either like a romantic or like a really good friend relationship coming into your life. Basically just someone coming in that helps you understand this Empress energy that you have, helps you see yourself more in that light instead of this like, you know, tricky negative self-talk way. And you're getting like a fresh start. Like, this is a really, really exciting, positive time for you. With the World, this card represents the end of one cycle. The Fool represents the start of a new. You have literally the first major arcana card and the last major arcana card. So like I said, I'm really seeing this as you starting a really positive period. But one thing to keep in mind is that not everything is going to be resolved. You know what I mean? It's important to keep in mind, like, okay, this is a positive period, but just because like this is figured out doesn't mean that I have to have everything figured out. It's okay for my life not to be perfect. It's okay for me not to be perfect, because that's just how life is. And don't like shut yourself off from gifts because you feel like you have to have everything figured out at once. Maybe, you know, this person is going to help you reach those other things, or maybe those other things will help reach you to the relationship. So the other thing that's coming through, and this is the last message that I'll give you because I feel like I'm talking to you too much. Like I just feel like you have things to do. But the last message that's coming through is that the timing is going to be different than what you expected. And this is something that I struggle with a lot. So for example, again, it just feels like you have this like ideal view of your life. You're like, okay, I'm going to get married by this point, and then by this point I'll have like my perfect career, and then by this point maybe I'll do some traveling, and then when I'm this old I'll do that. And it's like the universe is telling you in a very kind way that the map that you've made of your life is not accurate. You know, instead of like getting married at 25, maybe you're going to get married at 35, maybe you'll get married at 18, you know. It's like you just can't quite know. So one thing that's coming through is to be open to being flexible, be open to surprises, be open to not knowing, because there's some really exciting kind of like twists and turns that are coming that you might kind of like be blindsided by or not see the true benefit of if you're only thinking about it in terms of your timeline. One thing that's coming through is to be a little bit flexible with the timeline, because maybe you wanted a job first and then a relationship, but maybe the universe is choosing for whatever reason to give you the relationship first and then the job. But don't forget that the relationship can help you get the job or vice versa, you know what I mean? Okay, so that's what I'm seeing for those of you that chose pile number 4. I hope that was helpful or provided clarity or insight. If it did resonate, please feel free to like, comment, or subscribe. If you're interested in a private reading, like those little mini readings that I'm doing right now, you can check out that information in the description box. Once again, thank you for watching and have a great day.